Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on part 3, which is the final part of our rug. It is finally done. Ta-da! Now, what you need to know about this tutorial is when I sent you off on your own with part 2, I asked you to head off and do chain 3, chain 4, chain whatever it is, all the way up to whatever chains that you wanted. If you had plenty of yarn, you could have gone further, but yours truly just got up to chain 5. So during this tutorial, towards the end on the final row, you will hear me do a count of 10 stitches across, going from one point into the other. Okay, now your count will be different if you have done more rows. Your count will be 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever it is that you got up to. Okay, so just be wary of that. I will try and pop in a small disclosure just up the top of the editing version to let you know, by the way, don't stress if your count is different. Just note that your count should be the same from one point to the other, and then from that point to the other, and then from that point to the other. All right, so mine is 10 from points to points. Yours might be 11 from point to point, 12 from point to point, 13 from whatever it is that you did, yours will be different than mine. Otherwise, if you've done the same amount of chains as I have, the same amount of rows as I have, then it should be exactly the same. What you will need for your tutorial is obviously the yarn. I didn't run out of yarn, I tell a lie. I did the last 2 rows and I had 3/4 of a skein left, or just over a half left. If I had done an extra row of 6 chains, I would have run out. I wouldn't have had enough, because you need a good skein and a half or 2 skeins depending, or just under a skein and a quarter, that kind of thing, for the last 2 rows. And if you don't have that amount of yarn, you're not going to make those last 2 rows. That's just a quick heads up. You will need the same hook that you have been using throughout, which is the 15mm hook. You will need your scissors, and you will definitely need that darning needle, because you are going to be weaving in all your ends, which really shouldn't be much, because hopefully you've been weaving in as you've been going. All right, so I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's just get started with the final part of your rug. Good luck, guys. Alrighty guys, where I left you off in part 2, I sent you off on your own and told you to do a cluster, chain 3, cluster, cluster, chain 4, cluster, cluster, chain 5, cluster. So you should be up to your chain 5 row. If you've done more rows and you're up to chain 10 or 15 or whatever you're up to, then this is where we need to start our border. All right, so our border row is, let me just slip stitch this across first, because oops, oh, that didn't work. Let's try that again. Try putting it in the stitch this time, Mary. Hello. All right, so where you should be now is slip stitched to your top of your chain there. Yes, then you're going to chain 1, nice tight stitch, and now you're going to do a single crochet in the same stitch. So pop your hook in the stitch, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, grabbing your stitch marker. Oh, by the way, I'm using Clover stitch markers today. I thought I'd try them out. They come in a little pack like that, which works well for me because I always lose them. And we're going to pop, this is probably a bit too small as well, but we're going to pop them in our little stitch right there. I don't think I've split anything, but there you go. All right. Even though these are chains, they were classified as a double crochet. So you've got your single crochet in your first double crochet, single in your second double crochet, and now you've got that space, you know, your chain space right there. Ordinarily I would say put a single, but in this case we are going to put a half double crochet, and that is yarn over your hook, pop it in the space, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 3. Easy. Then we're going to pop a single crochet in your very next stitch. And this is where it's really important to start counting, because this is where your pattern starts. All right, so single crochet 1, single in the next one, 2, and then in your space you have 5 chains. If you have more, then put the amount of single crochets in there of your chain. So we've got 5, so we're going to put 5 single crochets around this whole piece. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if you've got 10 chains, you need to put 10 single crochets in there. If you've got 3 chains, you need to put 3 single crochets. Whatever chain amount you have is the same single crochets that you put in. Single in your next stitch, 1, and single in your next stitch, 2. And in that center, you are putting your half double, which is your yarn over your hook, in the space, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and then you're starting your single crochets again. You are counting again. So 1 and 2. Yes? Then you're doing 5 in there, which will be 7. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 1 in the stitch, 8. 1 in your next stitch, 9. And then you do your half double in the center of your stitch, right there. Okay, so I hope that you're understanding what we're doing here. If it's easier for you with a count to just go like this, 1 and 2, and then 5 single crochets in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 and 2. So if it's easy for you to count along there like that, and then you just pop your half double in the space right there. So if that's easier for you to count that way, then go ahead and count that way. All right, so let's do it one more time, and then you're going to be heading off on your own. And I'll count the easy way again because it's a lot easier. Single crochet 1 stitch, single in the second stitch, 5 singles in your space. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Single in your next stitch, 1, and single in your next stitch, 2. And then in the space, you've got a half double crochet that you know how to do now. All right, so what I want you to do is exactly that. Single crochet 1, 2, and then single crochet 5, and then single crochet 1, 2, half double. Single crochet 1, 2, single crochet 5, single crochet 1, 2, half double. Super easy this round. So that is all you are doing for this round. All right, so go ahead and continue in that manner. Get to your stitch marker right here, or get to your last 2 single crochets here. Keep your 5 chains free and I'll meet you up. Okay, alrighty guys, I can't show you the whole thing because it's huge now, but that is where I'm up to, and I'll show you exactly the last 5 chains there. Let me get a nice close up here. Is that too close? Sure is. All right, so I did my last 2 single crochets there, and I have my 5 chain space here. So I'm going to pop in my single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, ordinarily we would have put a single crochet in there and a single crochet in your second one, but they are already in there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take that stitch marker out because I think I've split it a little bit there. I'm going to take that out. Slip stitch into your stitch marker stitch, if that helps. Okay, so grab your thread, pull it through. I'm just going to tighten mine up, it's a bit loose here, and then pull it through to the loop on your hook without splitting your yarn. Chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch yet again, and pop that stitch marker in there because you're definitely going to need it for this particular round. And you're thinking, what? Well, you'll find out why after. All right, so with this round, we've already put our single crochet in that first one where that double crochet was, or chains I should say, and your double crochet there. We're going to pop our second single crochet in there. Now this in here is our half double crochet. First, I'm going to show you the newbie version. If you are new to crochet and you want to attempt this stitch, this is very easy. All you're doing is popping a single crochet in there, chain 1, 2 and 3, and then another single crochet in there. Now that is actually if you are new to crochet, that's the stitch I would suggest you do. For the rest of us who are intermediates, let's go back to that stitch. All right, we will still chain our 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to perform what I call, and what a lot of people call, a picot. Okay, and that is, you see that stitch right there, you've got that loop in front. You're not putting your chain over anything, no loops or anything, you're just popping your hook in that stitch there and in the stitch there. So it's the 2 side loops. Grab a thread, it's a bit tight, a bit loose there, sorry. Grab a thread, pull a loop through, pull it through to the loop on your hook, and in the same space you are doing another single crochet. Now again, anyone joining us new and I'm not sure how to do this stitch here, you're welcome to just do the chain 3 and then a single crochet back in there. It may not look very picot-ish to you, or very pointy-ish, if that's a word you can use, but it'll still look fairly similar. All right, so this is where your count is very, very important for where your picot ends up. If you mess up your count along here, your picot's not going to end up in the point of your half double crochet. It's going to end up over here or around over there, and you're going to wonder what went wrong. So counting from now on, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and when you get into your 10th stitch, that's your half double from the row before, you're putting your single crochet in there like normal. Then you are doing that picot. Again, newbies, if you just want to go 1, 2 and 3 and then single crochet back in the stitch, by all means, that's fine. Okay, for the rest of us, we're going to do that again. We've done our single crochet in the stitch, yes, and then we're going to chain 1, 2 and 3, and again we're going to pass our hook through that little loop right there, that side loop, and a side loop in front of it as well. Pull your loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook, single crochet back into the stitch. Okay, now we're counting 10 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and your 10th one should land in that half double crochet right there. Okay, and in that 10th stitch, what are you going to do? You're going to do your picot again. 1, 2 and 3. Newbies again, just do another single crochet there. The rest of us, side loop, pull a loop through, pull a loop through to the loop on your hook, single crochet again in the same space, and then your 10 across again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and guess what? Your 10 lands in your half double crochet. All right, so now you chain 1, 2 and 3, new people, if you want to pop your single crochet in there and continue on, you can. If you want to join us, take the risk in popping your hook in that first loop you come to, and then in the second loop, grab a loop, pull it through to the loop on your hook, single crochet in the same space. And we're not going to start counting because guess what? You're going to head off on your own and do it. What? They're saying, no, don't leave us. Now, let me show you where you are at. I'll bring this out a bit so you can see. Your picot should kind of go on a slant a little bit, which is normal. All right, you can adjust it a bit if you like. There's one, there's two. Notice how they're right on top of that space there, all right? And then there's three, and then there's four. That's how many we've done so far, all right? And it should look like that and lay a very gentle flatness with kind of a little bit of a tip in the middle, which is normal because we just finished creating it. After a few days it'll settle and flatten out and be nice and straight. All right, so guess what, guys? You're going to head off on your own. You're going to do all of that. 10 single crochets, get to your picot, do your picot. 10 single crochets, picot. That is the basic, I say basic because it really is a basic row. It's only that it's new to newbies. So if you guys are struggling with the picot, just do your single crochet, chain 3 and single crochet in the same space. So it's very similar look to the picot, but not exactly the same. So head off on your own, get to your last picot, perform your picot, and wait for me there. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row, and I asked you to do your last picot and then you had all your single crochets across here. So go ahead and just do all of your single crochets all the way across. I'm nearly there, all the way across the row. Okay, now that is where your first single crochet started. This is the last one in here. Oh, it's too far away. I'm sorry about that. There you go. Now, before you do the rest, this next part, I really need you to go ahead and check that you have done everything perfect, because yours truly is going to get you to cut your thread in a minute, because this is the last row. Oh, what? Didn't I tell you? Sorry. That was the last row. I want you, before you complete slip stitching into there, I want you to leave a really long tail, fairly long, whatever you want, you know, like that kind of thing. Give it a cut. All right. Now, I want you to just pull that thread loose through nice and loosely. All right. And grabbing your darning needle, I'm going to show you a way of weaving this in and joining it through the slip stitch. A lot of people call this a invisible kind of a join as well. It is. I don't like using it very often because I just find it doesn't look right to me. But a lot of people said, why don't you use it? And I'm going to use it. This place where your stitch marker is, that's where you're popping your needle. Okay. So what I want you to do is grab your sewing darning needle. Hope you've popped your thread in your needle, by the way. And I'm going to take my stitch marker out because I think it's split the yarn a little bit. But I want you to get your needle and pop it into the same place where you would normally slip stitch. Now I'm going to make sure I'm not splitting any yarn here because there's no way of fixing this once it's done. So make sure you check that all your work is correct. I'll show you where I put the needle there. I popped it through the first loop and your back loop, the same as if you were doing a slip stitch. All right, so I popped the needle through, grab your stitch like so. Yes. All right, now what I want you to do, your needle has to go in one loop only, the back loop only of your last stitch that you formed. So pop that needle through there and close it up. Then you're just going to pop it straight back into that stitch again. A lot of people, again, they don't do this part. I do this part because I'm really pedantic about making sure it's all snug into place. And then all I'm going to do is pop it through a stitch that you see there at the back. And then you're going to go ahead and start weaving in at the back. Now, where do you weave it in? it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The only thing though is this is the last thread that you're going to weave in. So what you need to do is make sure it's hidden very well. I would actually just go through one stitch there. I've actually split my stitch. You don't need to. And in fact, I wouldn't advise it if you don't know what you're doing in that area of splitting. And then just go through another stitch. Keep going down a little bit. Oh, didn't get that through then. Being careful not to pull too tight or your stitch that you just slip stitch to won't look right, okay? Now go straight down into a stitch anywhere. See where you see these stitches that are going over? I would go into that and go straight through them, like so. Oh, by the way, making sure you can't see your needle in front, and you can't. So just pop that through there, like so. Slip stitching all the way through, or I should say threading all the way through. When you get to one side, to make sure this will never come undone, I'm giving it a bit of a stretch there, so I think I've pulled it too tight. Always go back in another direction in a different set of stitches, which is really tight for me. So that means there's no way that's coming undone. So just check the front, make sure you can't see your needle, and you can't. So we pop that through. I know I'm going to have trouble getting this thread through. Oh, it's not too bad. So look, if I'm having trouble getting it through, that's never coming undone. So I'm going to give it a cut, like so, and just stretch it back into the work. That's not going to come undone. All right, have a look at the front. You can't tell where I weaved that in and where I didn't. Okay, easy, easy. I want you to head off on your own and weave in all your ends. I know I've got a set of ends here because I just, believe it or not, the last row I started running out of yarn, so I had to put in another one. So weave in all your ends and join me here in a moment. And that's it, guys. Hopefully you've weaved in all your ends, because if all your ends are weaved in, you can actually enjoy your rug. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and do all those wonderful things that you guys already do for me. And don't forget, we have our lives on Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time, that is, every week. And that's it, guys. All I want to say right now is enjoy your rug and ciao for now.